This episode of the Film Brits podcast is sponsored by T-Blocks. Are you wanting to expand your wardrobe with geek-related apparel? Do you want a subscription service that actually caters to your interests instead of signing up for a gamble? Well, T-Blocks is a service that will send a shirt to your door every month that is specifically tailored to your interests. Tell them what you're into, like DC Comics, Doctor Who, Game of Thrones, Rick and Morty, and you'll be sent a shirt based around that every month with a design that's either officially licensed or created by a talented artist. From $6.99 a month with worldwide shipping, you can even send a shirt back if it's the wrong size, or even if you just don't like the design, and they'll send you a new one. And if you use the coupon code TrilbyTBX at checkout, that's TRILBEETBX, you'll get 10% off your order, whether it's an order for yourself or just a gift for a friend. You'll be getting awesome shirts and be supporting my content at the same time. Everybody wins. That's TrilbyTBX, TRILBEETBX, for 10% off your order with T-Blocks. That's TEEBLOX. Enjoy the episode. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Film Brits podcast. I'm your host Trilby, the Ian Malcolm of film criticism, and in this episode we're going to be dedicating it specifically and entirely to your Twitter and Facebook lightning round questions. And because it's Christmas, it's just that time of year, and over the course of recording this episode it's going to become December 23rd, I figured what I'll do is that instead of dedicating a minute to the questions, I'm going to set my limit to 3 minutes. That does not necessarily mean I will have to use the entirety of those 3 minutes, but it means that I can answer questions a little bit more in depth than I normally would. I put the call out on Facebook and Twitter, so I think what I'll do is that I will go onto Facebook first. So if you want to be notified of when I'm going to be doing Film Brits episodes in the future and to take part of in the lightning round segments, just be sure to follow my social media feeds. On Facebook it's Mr. TARDIS Reviews, and on Twitter it is at Trilby Reviews. That's TRILBEE Reviews, all one word. So without further ado, first question, 3, 2, 1, go. Felix O'Kelly asks, It's a Wonderful Life, thoughts on this and how it tackles holiday depression? Also, what's your favourite Doctor Who Christmas special and least favourite? It's a Wonderful Life is absolutely one of my favourite movies in general, not just favourite Christmas movies. It is a wonderful drama, and the story of George Bailey and what would happen if just a normal, ordinary man no longer existed and how that would affect the town is just wonderful. It is a wonderful film. It's a Wonderful Life. It absolutely holds up over the years. I know that Cineworld were doing a theatrical re-release, but they advertised it so poorly in that they would show the trailer before screenings I attended, but they would not put a friggin' date on the end of those screenings. How do you cock that up? So I didn't wind up seeing it on the big screen this year. I also know there's a colour version, but I've only ever watched the black and white, and it is just brilliant as it is on its own. So yeah, I love It's Wonderful Life and how it tackles holiday depression. Yeah, because people do, there is a documented instance of people feeling more depressed or feeling more lonely at this time of year, and there is such a thing as the Christmas or winter blues. As the nights grow longer, as the days grow shorter, people do wind up getting feeling more down, feeling more depressed. There is actual scientific studies on this where because of you feel more, generally speaking, you feel more optimistic and happy during the day because the sun's out and it's brighter. But when the days get shorter and it gets darker a lot earlier, and it stays dark till a lot later in the morning, people do feel depressed and down. And there is a term for it. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So It's a Wonderful Life is just a great way to emphasize to people that you are important, you matter, you are valued. And I think that's just a lesson everybody needs to learn at some point, and it's something that can be pretty depressing to think about, and just your impact on the world. But you matter to people, and you should remember that all year round, not just at Christmas. And also the question, what's your favourite Doctor Who Christmas special and least favourite? Favourite has got to be the Christmas Invasion. It's not even remotely close. And least favourite, I'm probably forgetting some, but let me be terrible and just look this up. So Last Christmas wasn't that good. Time of the Doctor was a massive letdown. The Snowman wasn't good. Okay, I'm thinking either the Snowman, the Snowman, or the Time of the Doctor. I might go for Time of the Doctor because it was Matt Smith's regeneration, and it was kind of wrapping up the whole 50th anniversary, and it was just such a letdown. But stories like Last Christmas, The Doctor and the Widow and the Wardrobe, and The Next Doctor are just really unmemorable and just really average. Same with Return of Doctor Mysterio and Husbands River Song, which I remember liking at the time, but they just a nothing impact. So that's 3 minutes. Okay, next question. Gotta get up on my screen. 3, 2, 1, go. Joshua Coy asks, if you could have any of the movie versions of Santa Claus visit you on Christmas Eve, who would you choose? I choose North from Rise of the Guardians. I friggin' love Rise of the Guardians, Joshua. Thank you so much for mentioning that film. Is it Alec Baldwin who voices him as well in Rise of the Guardians, where you've got this big bruiser Santa with a naughty and nice tattoo sleeves on his arms, and he's got this thick Russian accent. He's like, am I on the naughty list or naughty list? You hold your record. And that's the Santa. You hold your record. I'm Russian Santa. And it's really funny and really well done. He's just this epic guy who dual wields swords, and it's just such a cool interpretation. And it's a character who, yes, he's a badass action guy who's incredibly strong and powerful, but he is also warm. He is a very jolly soul as well. He's a really well balanced but very different interpretation of Saint Nick. But in terms of what movie version of Santa I'd like to visit me, I like Jim Broadbent's Santa in Arthur Christmas, as well as Jim Broadbent's Santa in Get Santa. Would I want Tim Allen from the Santa Claus to visit? I'm not sure about that. There is the Santa from Ernest Saves Christmas. I can't remember who plays him, but he voices the Sultan in Aladdin. He's got that very distinctive voice. He's an awesome Santa Claus. He's just a lovely guy. I do not want Jack Skellington Santa Claus to visit me. I don't think I want the Santa Claus from the Santa Claus, Sandy Claus from Nightmare Before Christmas to visit me either, because he seems like such a grumpy old git. So I think I've just wound up on that guy's naughty list automatically. So I think North is a great choice because he is still warm, whereas the one from Nightmare Before Christmas does seem like a grumpy person who I feel like I could say the wrong thing and then he'll take the presents back. Other interpretations of Santa Claus, though, who could visit me on Christmas. There's so many to choose. The one from the original Miracle on 34th Street, who just seems so wise and like almost sage-like. He's a great interpretation. But yeah, I think I am gonna go for. It's become a rather cliche choice in recent years. But if it's not North from Rise of the Guardians, it will be the Santa Claus from Ernest Saves Christmas. That was a great pick. Okay, so next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Mitchell Radford asks, have you seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? If so, what are your thoughts? Thank you. I've not seen it for a couple of years, like 3 or 4 years, but it is one of the best Christmas specials. It's really funny. Chevy Chase is just on top form there. It is just a comedy of errors to a T. It is just, we are getting so much fun out of this guy's misery, trying to have a perfect Christmas and everything going wrong, and it's able to use such big emotions and such big feelings. Like the ending is very joyous and heartwarming, but it's also equally large and bombastic in its silliness. Like when he turns on all the Christmas lights and he has basically has to use a nuclear reactor to keep the house going, and how he has that massive ranting and raving at his boss at the end of the film, and he gets electrocuted and he falls off. It's insanely big, but because it commits to the bigness and it's so wholehearted in its approach to comedy and character and Christmas, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is a film that refuses to do anything by half, and it makes it all the more memorable in a way. I think it's a great modern version of It's a Wonderful Life, where you do see just the impact of one man on a family. It's obviously not quite as emotionally robust as It's a Wonderful Life or as sprawling in its narrative, but its heart is in a very similar place. I've not seen the original National Lampoon's Vacation. It's only the Christmas Vacation film I've seen, because National Lampoon, outside of maybe a couple of the films, was never a big thing in the UK, at least to my knowledge, and I don't even think the Vacation reboot got a particularly big or wide release in the UK. I'm not entirely sure. But National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is the film that kind of broke through the barrier and made it quite big in the UK. A lot of my family members, a lot of my friends enjoy and watch it. So I really enjoy National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Edward Sweet asks, favourite films about filmmaking? Mine is Tim Burton's Ed Wood, because of its message that even the worst films of all time, you can't ignore the love and passion that often goes into filmmaking. That, and it shows off that Burton can still make great work even when he isn't going full gothic. Also worth mentioning the terrific performance by the late Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi. Great pick, Edward, and this is going to sound so cliche, but that is my choice. Ed Wood is my choice. I think it is Tim Burton's best film, Johnny Depp's best performance, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi was nominated for Best Supporting Actors at the Academy Awards. I think it also was nominated and won for Best Makeup, but I could be wrong. I think he got something in that regard. But yeah, Ed Wood is absolutely the one. Like, the black and white cinematography is great. The way they recreate Ed Wood's old special effects in massive quotation marks and his sets. And there's the great scene which kind of sums up the whole film when one of the actors, this big lumbering guy who used to be a wrestler, I think, he's trying to leave the set. He's finished his scene, the cameras are still rolling, and the last bit in the script was for him to walk out of the set and walk through a door. He hits the door frame on his way out. The entire set shakes and starts to creak around. Clearly it's just made out of cardboard. And then he leaves the room, and then Ed Wood says, cut, print it, perfect, great. Okay, next scene. And I think it's like the script supervisor turns to him and says, well, do you want to go again? He looks like he was struggling to get out the door. And Ed Wood, just without missing a beat, just turns to him and says, well, he would have had to struggle that with every day of his life. He for some reason, he just loves being on a set and just making like the everyday common idiosyncrasies of life and document them on film for better or for worse. And the optimism is great, and it's also a story, an interesting story about this guy who he would wear women's clothing. He wasn't a transsexual, but he just enjoyed like wearing comforting women's clothing, and he did was it the Glenn or Glenda? That was one of his most personal films that he put together. And this is a guy who imbued his soul into his work. Without just talking about Ed Wood, though, some other great movies about making movies. It's a recent one, The Disaster Artist, which I feel like was really good. I really liked The Disaster Artist. I think I'm going to give it like 4 out of 5 stars. But it's the type of film where I think it could have maybe been a bit more dramatic, or maybe been a bit more funny. I think it could have maybe pushed the envelope in both regards. As a result, it's kind of like a middle ground in regards to the drama and the comedy, but it's still a really good film about someone who was just so passionate about wanting to make it, or wanting to, like, regardless of his actual talent and merits, and this weird friendship that he has, Tommy Wiseau has with Greg Sestero. The film kind of needs to take into account that Tommy Wiseau bought his way into Hollywood, but that's a topic for another time. So that's 3 minutes. But yeah, Ed Wood is my pick, Edward. So next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Dominic Miller asks, what's your favourite version of A Christmas Carol and your favourite portrayals of Scrooge? Favourite version of A Christmas Carol, aside from the George C. Scott version from the 50s? I'm going to Google that, double check that. It's got to be Muppets Christmas Carol, and that's so cliche and it's so weird. But Christmas Carol is absolutely just wonderful. The Muppets Christmas Carol, it has all of the heart that you want from the source material. The original songs are great. Michael Caine is okay. He's not the best Scrooge at all, but I think he does well. I love the interpretations of all of the ghosts of past, present, and future in that story, particularly the ghost of Christmas Future. I think one adaptation that's slightly underrated is the Robert Zemeckis one, where the slapstick comedy and the 3D Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge 3D spectacular roller coaster ride segments are really on the nose and just not that well. They're not placed well. It's clearly just trying to be a big 3D spectacle, and while watching it in 2D, it just doesn't have the same effect. Which means rewatches are just a little bit obnoxious. But there are some amazing segments in that. I think Jim Carrey is really committing to it. Gary Oldman's really good as Bob Cratchit. There's some other, so there's Alistair Sim and George C. Scott. Those are some of the quintessential Ebenezer Scrooges. Christopher Plummer is great in The Man Who Invented Christmas, although it's not a fully fleshed out portrayal of Scrooge. It is still, he still brings a lot to that role. There's Bill Murray in Scrooge. That's a great interpretation. one thing I also love about Muppets Christmas Carol is how it's able to stay faithful to the material, but it's still able to throw the odd Muppets twist in there. Like, it's like, instead of just Jacob Marley coming to visit, it's the Marley brothers. I forget their names. Who the Stalfos, what's his name? The Muppets old guys. It is Statler and Waldorf. I always forget their name and I feel really bad about it. It's not just Jacob Marley, it's Marley and Marley, and they have a whole song about it. That's really great. Well, yeah, the Christmas Carol is one of the best pieces of fiction I've ever read. It's absolutely terrific, and there is no shortage of great adaptations. Michael Gambon is a good Scrooge-esque type character in the Doctor Who Christmas Carol story, although the story itself is not terrifically well done. Yeah, but yeah, my favourite version of Muppets Christmas Carol, my favourite version of A Christmas Carol is the Muppets one. And it would for the best version portrayal of Scrooge, it would be Alistair Sim or George C. Scott. So those are the cliche ones. I probably might. I need to rewatch those adaptations, but those are the two that always spring to mind for me. So next question, 3 to 1 go. Joel Newton asks, what is your least favourite Doctor Who Christmas special so far, minus the Doctor of the Wood of the Wardrobe, but at least the others had an engaging conflict? I won't spend too long on this question since I partially answered it in the last one, but for the time and the Doctor, which I think the more I think about it, is the weakest one, or like, because it's similar to like a season finale. Like, for example, I think that while Asylum of the Daleks may be objectively worse than Hell-Bent, in terms of Stephen Moffat's writing, because Hell-Bent is meant to be like the culmination of so many arcs and story points, and it came after Heaven Sent as well, which is just such a strong start to a story. It means more that it cocked up. And for Time of the Doctor, there's this whole self-imposed exile. Matt Smith spends half of the story in this old age makeup that he's like, bless him, he's trying, but he's not able to fully pull it off. I think he would have been better without the makeup, to be honest. Meaning that the final story of Matt Smith, he's just hampered and spends half of it in a rocking chair. And Clara doesn't seem to have much of a presence in the story, from what I can remember. I love the regeneration itself. Matt Smith's final scene in the TARDIS is absolutely terrific, and his acting's amazing, and I love it, especially his final lines about how like breath in a mirror, and he'll always remember the Doctor was him. I think that's wonderful, terrific final moments. But the actual story itself, and just throwing in the weeping angels and the Cybermen and the Daleks, it doesn't come together. And the silence and the active contradictions from what's happened in the previous couple of years, it's like, no, what is this bloody mess? But there's also one issue with a lot of the Doctor Who Christmas specials, is that they are so mediocre in a way. They're kind of like what you want is Marvel's The Avengers, and what we keep getting is DC's Justice League movie, Warner Brothers Justice League, where it should be just a very simple story. It should just be a simple, fun time for people to sit down on Christmas and have a fun time with engaging characters and engaging dialogue. But we're getting so bogged down in plot, and we're getting so bogged down in exposition and explaining shit. Like, the next Doctor could have been a fun story, but half of it is just explaining shit. And I feel like Doctor Who's viewing figures would be much better when it comes back in the season if the Christmas specials are of a much higher standard. Like, yeah, the plot doesn't have to be complicated. Just have a fun time. Have a fun hour with really engaging characters. Have a simple story, but with something unique and original about it, and nothing too complicated. I think that's what we need. We need an Avengers and not a Justice League for the Christmas specials. And that's why we keep on getting stories like Return of Dr. Mysterio and Last Christmas and The Snowmen and Voyage of the Damned. It's like, no, just keep it a bit simpler, please, and just let us have a fun time. So thank you for the question. The next one comes from 3, 2, 1, go. Billy Aratoon asks, do you think The Last Jedi did the right thing by subverting big audience expectations and not having some big dramatic twist? When it comes to subverting big audiences' expectations, I won't get into spoilers here. When it comes to subverting expectations, the Rey reveal was the only way they could have gone about that Rey reveal based on what happens in The Force Awakens. I said this in the last episode of the podcast, but it's I'm not blaming you, Billy, because you would not have heard that podcast by the time you asked the question. It's because they say in The Force Awakens, Maz Kanata talks to him and says you have to accept it, like you already know your parents aren't coming back, you have to look forward. So as a result, if Rey's parents had been anyone significant from canon, it would have contradicted exactly what The Force Awakens was trying to do, so it could not have gone in that direction. Like it's a case of, it's not just a case of subverting expectations, it's a case of many people who are theorizing just not understanding what was going on in The Force Awakens and understanding subtext or themes or anything like that. It's really frustrating, to be honest. And when it comes to stuff like Luke Skywalker and Snoke, like and also even just one subplot which ends a way that people probably wouldn't expect it to, it's, yeah, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to go in different, bold, new directions. And I think that The Last Jedi, if The Force Awakens was trying to lure fans into a false sense of security and get them into the franchise again, then The Last Jedi did the right thing by pulling the rug out from under them, because it's going to offer something that they're not going to expect. It is they are going to be surprised, and not everybody likes to be surprised. It kind of reminds me of Iron Man 3. I know that some people now, in retrospect, look back and say, "Oh, it doesn't make sense plot wise," or the tone doesn't quite recover from that whiplash and stuff like that. There was like 99% of criticisms against Iron Man 3 at the time of its release were, it does not follow the comics. This is not the Mandarin we read about. This surprised me, and I think there's a little bit of entitlement from a certain corner of the fandom, from Marvel, from Star Wars, from DC, whatever. When the movies go against the source material, they don't like that, because they kind of like having that, they like knowing about stuff. They like being able to talk to their normal, quote-unquote, friends and be like, oh, the Mandarin is this guy, he does this and does that, and I've read all the comics, or I've read a lot of Wikipedia articles, so I know all about this character. And then when that character doesn't happen, and they're like, oh, I've just invested all this time and I've told all these people about this interpretation of the Mandarin, and it doesn't come up on screen, then I'm pissed off and I don't like different. The Last Jedi and Iron Man 3 are kind of the litmus test for that kind of geek subculture, and I think anything that can shake them out of their complacency is all the better for the medium, in my opinion. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Dean Jones asks, favourite Christmas film? Oh boy, we've got It's a Wonderful Life, which I've talked about. We've got Muppets Christmas Carol. I love Arthur Christmas. I think that's absolutely terrific. I talked about that in depth in the last episode of the podcast. Any other Christmas films? Nightmare Before Christmas, of course, is Sally is a shit character, and she does nothing for the story at all. But apart from that, I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I think that's got a wonderful art style, great animation, wonderful songs, great voice acting, great design. Like production and aesthetic wise, it's the complete package. I absolutely love it. Apart from, I think those are maybe the 3 or 4. I forget how many I'm counting here. But yeah, those are some of my absolute favourite ones. There are also films you can watch around Christmas, even if they're not strictly Christmas themed, like the first Harry Potter film. Home Alone, that's Christmas themed as well, isn't it? Also any Shane Black movie. So yeah, those are my favourite Christmas films. I absolutely love them. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Ben Frost asks, what are your expectations for the Doctor Who Christmas special this year? I like I said earlier, I want a good character-driven story. I do not want a disposable one-off villain that no one's going to care about, because you've got the 12th Doctor and the 1st Doctor, as well as the 13th Doctor being introduced at the end. So we're dealing with 3 Doctors here, and also the return of Bill. And we need a story that will push the themes of the episode. Like, why does Capaldi's Doctor not want to regenerate? Like, what is motivating that thought process? That's the kind of the big hurdle, because at the end of can't remember the name of the episode. It's been a while. I've not watched it since the Doctor Falls. What am I on about? Yeah, at the end of the Doctor Falls, he goes through this big epic story, and then he's like, "I will not change." And why? Where has this come from? I think that it should have maybe been explored before he says that, because it just leaves the audience leaving on a bit of a weird note. But what is he thinking? What is the thought process? And how is he going to interact with the 1st Doctor as well? I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to David Bradley well and truly being William Hartnell's Doctor, as opposed to portraying just William Hartnell. But he was terrific in Adventure in Space and Time. I hope he's not wasted. I hope we don't have like a David Morrissey situation where he is potentially, like, he gets maybe 1 or 2 cool scenes as a potential Doctor, and then he's just pushed aside for the rest of the story. I hope we actually get some really good first Doctorisms. Fingers crossed for that. And can we justify Bill's arrival? Because I think you could have done this story completely without her, but then it's just another element that could detract from this Doctor dynamic. What's Mark Gatiss doing? I have a lot of trepidation, but I really hope they pull this off, because so many eyes are on Doctor Who this Christmas, because Jodie Whittaker's going to be introduced for the first time here, and Peter Capaldi desperately deserves a great send-off. He's been a terrific actor, but he's been so underserved over the past couple of years, and I think he just needs to go out on a high note here, and I really hope Stephen Moffat is able to let that happen. So my expectations are the same as they normally are. Just don't suck. Please don't suck, and please, don't be mediocre, because that could be even worse. So many eyes are on Doctor Who, so many people are actively gunning against the show because they cast a woman in it, oh my god! So don't give them a reason for that. Be the best it can be. It's still written by Stephen Moffat, so who knows how the hell that's going to go. So next question. 3, 2, 1, go. Will High asks, what Christmas films do you watch yearly? I watch It's a Wonderful Life yearly. I watch Muppets Christmas Carol yearly. I have started to watch Krampus yearly as well. I'm going to try and watch The Night Before yearly as well. Nightmare Before Christmas as well. That one's easier to watch yearly, because I don't bother even thinking about Christmas stuff until December 1st. But Nightmare Before Christmas, that is the exception. You can watch that between Halloween and Christmas and be guilt-free about it. That's absolutely fine. So, short answer, but those are the ones that I do watch yearly. Also Elf. 3, 2, 1, go. Devin Bell asks, what are your thoughts on the films of David Lynch? I think David Lynch is a great visual artist. I'm not a fan of all of his films. I love The Elephant Man. I actually think The Elephant Man is his best film, because it's one of his more straightforward films. Stuff like Eraserhead, and what is it called, Blue Velvet? I've watched those years ago, and they just didn't quite stick with me. I need to watch Mulholland Drive. I was hoping to watch that when it got its recent theatrical release, but couldn't. I also need to watch Twin Peaks, but there are some films I know that I, in my heart of hearts, need to revisit. Ones that I was way too young when I saw them and just didn't get them, and that was absolutely on me and not on David Lynch. So I'm going to try and revisit those, but it's a filmography that I'm not incredibly immersed in, but I do love The Elephant Man. I think that's a wonderful, terrific film with an amazing, underrated performance by Anthony Hopkins, who's not playing a psychopath or somebody who's off the wall insane, someone who's a lot more subdued and a lot more collected, and I love seeing that side of Anthony Hopkins. And John Hurt and the makeup on him is terrific as well. It makes me frigging cry all the time. And The Elephant Man was his second film. That film is so well directed. It really surprises me. I know I need to watch Dune. I think they're probably going to be rebooting that in the next couple of years. I think Denis Villeneuve is working on that as well. But after the lack of success with Blade Runner 2049 commercially, whether or not they'll let him do that or give him a budget for it, I think that remains to be seen. But yeah, I will say that my favourite film of his has got to be The Elephant Man, but I do need to revisit a lot of his other work, so watch this space, basically. So thank you for the question. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Samuel asks, it's an old one, but do you personally consider Die Hard to be a Christmas movie? Also, what's the best, least worst Doctor Who Christmas special? I won't answer the Doctor Who Christmas special one, it's still the Christmas Invasion. But do I personally consider Die Hard to be a Christmas movie? Yeah. I hate the conversation that we have to have every single year saying, oh, I've just discovered Die Hard's a Christmas movie, you're good. Like, oh, okay, and welcome to 2003, thank you very much. But yeah, it shows every year on Christmas now. It's not just a film that happens to take place at Christmas, but doesn't really have much iconography or music or whatever. Like a bit like Iron Man 3. Like there's maybe one Christmas tree and a Christmas song near the beginning, and that's kind of it. So I don't really consider Iron Man 3 to be much of a Christmas film. But for Die Hard, it's set at Christmas. There's a Christmas tree. There's Christmas presents. There's Christmas music peppered all the way throughout. I think that it could be. It's a Christmas film, even if it's not like steeped in Christmas cheer and joy, like say A Christmas Carol or Arthur Christmas or something else. It still has the trappings there. It still has the visual elements that make it indistinguishable from any other time of year. So I think that kind of counts. Next question, 3 to 1 go. Jonathan Mullen asks, what pre-established Star Wars character would you create a spin-off around? Obi-Wan Kenobi is the answer to this question. I'm not even going to accept alternative solutions. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the one, because there's such a big gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, where he was just a hermit on this planet, on Tatooine, and I want to know what he was maybe doing during that time. Do we have an old Western style story? Do we have a Star Wars equivalent of Unforgiven? Kind of like how Logan was the X-Men equivalent of Unforgiven. Or do we have something more akin to Tombstone, where Obi-Wan is just a badass sheriff, and the film is an absolute massive embrace of toxic masculinity, but I kind of love the film anyway. And just another chance to see Ewan McGregor get a true stab at the character. I think he deserves it. I think he's earned it. He's paid his dues. I think he deserves a chance at that. So the answer is Obi-Wan Kenobi. But the runner-up answer is the weird Rancor trainer from Return of the Jedi, the big fat guy with wearing the creature skin, and who goes in after the Rancor's been killed and starts sobbing uncontrollably. I want a Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 5-part movie franchise based around that guy's relationship with his creatures and him capturing the Rancor. I will not accept any other answers. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Taylor Diana says, what do you think caused the vast divide of critic praise and viewer hatred of The Last Jedi? I said this in the last episode of the podcast, that I think what's become apparent in the discourse over The Last Jedi is that while the mainstream popularity of franchise films and genre material and the internet and everybody having a platform means that film discourse and film analysis is becoming very mainstream, it is also showing that a vast majority, or like a large amount of people who take part in that discourse, do not know how to read film. Critics, for better or for worse, know how to read film because it is their job, and as a result, when something is subversive, when something is different, when something takes risks, when something is more about theming and subtext and concepts and about narrative resonance and such, a critic is more likely to pick it up and notice it than a general average audience member is, especially one who has been acclimatized with a franchise that has been going on for about 40 years and they just want more of the same. So when critics, when they like a film, that is, in my opinion, pretty high praise, because they watch multiple films a week, they watch films day in, day out, so they kind of crave and want something different, something that stands out. So when something does stand out from that pack, then I think it's worthy of notice and worthy of picking up on. So when they watch The Last Jedi and it's got just some stunning effects and some really great shots and imagery, and some really great themes at play, and a whole meta-narrative and great performances and something to say, the critics appreciate it and welcome it with open arms, whereas fans may be a bit caught off guard by it, and they might not be expecting it, and they don't quite like that. Like I said, it's the same deal with Iron Man 3. I think they wanted something that they could, they wanted their fandom, quote unquote, and their potential theories as to who is who. They wanted that to be rewarded, and as a result, when it didn't live up to their exact and oddly specific expectations, they did not like it. And also, I'm not saying it's the majority, but it's like a bit like Ghostbusters. It's something that we kind of need to acknowledge if we're going to tackle the problem. There was a hell of a lot of racism and sexism being levied at The Last Jedi for basically because Kelly Marie Tran and John Boyega and Daisy Ridley exist in the film. As a result, a lot of people automatically hate it. So we need to kind of deal with that toxic, cancerous subculture, but that's a topic for another time. So next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Johan Brukawasa says, there's a lot of divided stuff in The Last Jedi, and there was one bit I loved that people really didn't like. Spoilers. Folks, skip 3 minutes ahead. I'm going to make sure that I do stick with the 3 minutes. The scene where Rey reveals her parents were nothing. I loved this scene and shocking reveal. What did you think of it and who her parents are? Like I said earlier, there's a scene in the Force Awakens where Maz Kanata says you have to admit to yourself they're never coming back. You have to look forward to the future with Luke and your friends and all that stuff. That's the point of the Force Awakens, that Rey needs to stop getting hung up on her own her heritage and her own past, and she needs to move forward and rise from the dirt, so to speak, and become who she's capable of being. She needs to get over the past. So with that scene, it kind of cemented to me that the parents were not going to be anybody anybody elaborate or anybody famous or anybody notable in the Star Wars universe. Like I said earlier, the critics and seasoned moviegoers know how to read film. So when that scene happens and you can read subtext and theming, you know that her parents are not going to be Luke Skywalker or the Emperor. She's going to be, or so and so. Yeah, of course they were going to be nobody, and even if they were somebody, it doesn't friggin' matter, because Rey has to move on from the past. And I like the reveal of it, how Kylo Ren kind of knows, but he coaxes the answer out of Rey, and like Rey is known deep down for years that her parents were nothing. They probably sold her off for drug money and death sticks and stuff. So yeah, it was the perfect way to go about that reveal. And it's kind of about how like Kylo Ren, he feels like nothing. He feels so inadequate and so emasculated, and he's in a way trying to convince Rey that she is nothing as well, because of the lack of interesting heritage or parental figures. So he's able to use that against her. So yeah, that the reveal was exactly what it should have been. And anybody who was saying, "Oh, it's Luke Skywalker's daughter. She's so and so. She's this and that," like, if you watch The Force Awakens, it's not gonna be that. Like, you've got to read the film if you're gonna be such a slave to canon and be so obsessed with the continuity. At least, not to sound condescending, at least pay attention to the frigging continuity. So that's the spoilers done with. I told people to be back in 3 minutes. We've still got 30 seconds left, so I'm going to take a swig of drink. And this is going to be in the podcast. My throat. Got 15 seconds left. In the meanwhile, go to tblocks.com and use my coupon code TRUBYTBX to get 10% off your t-shirt order. I am a sellout and I love it. They can catch up in the next 6-7 seconds. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. From Marco Portuando says, are you excited for the new Jumanji, and will you see the new one since it's getting positive reviews? And have you rewatched the original? The new one has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes after all. Yes, the new Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes and has had really good reviews. When I first saw the trailer, I wasn't hyped for it, but I thought it looked okay, and I like the cast, like Karen Gillan and Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart and Jack Black and such. I think that's a good ensemble, and I like the idea that the game needs to be played. It needs to teach kids a lesson and curse them and such. Nobody plays board games, or these kids don't play board games. So it alters itself. It changes its form to get kids to play it. I think that's a much needed evolution for the franchise. But if Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is as good as the critics are saying, we're dealing with one of the rare sequels 20 years later that's actually probably better than the original, because the original Jumanji is good and it has some memorable elements about it, but it doesn't quite come together as a whole. It's got Robin Williams in it, but it kind of wastes his comedic talents by making it all broody and dour for the majority of the film. And some of the special effects, while great at the time, are really aged and dated. But I remember it freaked the hell out of me when I was a kid. I had nightmares over like the quicksand and the earthquake and the spiders, and so like that film genuinely did give me nightmares when I was a kid. So props to it for leaving such an impact. But it's one of those films that it leaves such a big impact on you as a kid that when you get older, you maybe overstate or overhype the merits of it. Not to say that Jumanji's a bad film, but it's not a great one at that. But yeah, in terms of Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, I was hoping to see it when it had its preview screenings on the 9th and the 10th of December in the UK, but my Cineworld card had expired, and I'm sorting out getting a new one, but that weekend I couldn't see it, so I am wanting to watch it and check it out, and the reviews have been really good. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm hearing that Jack Black and Karen Gillan are the standouts in it, so that's always great. I love Jack Black and Karen Gillan. It's great that she's kind of breaking into Hollywood. That's really good. So, but it's interesting seeing critics and stuff online pronounce her name Karen Gillian instead of Karen Gillan, and I'm getting deja vu to when she was first announced as Amy Pond in Doctor Who, and everyone was calling her Karen Gillian before everybody sort of caught on and was like, oh no, it's Karen Gillan, not Gillian. And now we're going through that exact same thing, but now in the mainstream. Whereas the Whovian community had that conversation first. God damn it. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Dominic Maxwell asks, who's your favourite / least favourite Star Wars villain? Favourite Star Wars villain, we need to see how the whole arc finishes and concludes, but I'm loving Kylo Ren so far. I think Darth Vader's an outstanding villain who obviously topped the list, but Kylo Ren, depending on where his character goes in Episode 9, could easily top Darth Vader. I'm loving his characterization at the moment and how, I'm not going to spoil it, but at the end of The Last Jedi, he's in such a morally unpredictable place, and that inadequacy that he has, and how his whole moral compass has been completely thrown out of whack, and there's no light or dark side anymore. He doesn't know what's right or wrong, what's up and down anymore, and that sort of unhinged villain is someone who doesn't even know what he wants and is just so erratic and so unstable. That could be just as terrifying as a cold and calculated Emperor Snoke. So yeah, I think that Kylo Ren has the capacity to easily be the best Star Wars villain. Shout out to is it Ian McDiarmid who plays the Emperor in Revenge of the Sith. He's having so much fun of that. That's such a fun, Ian McDiarmid, that's such a fun role. He's having so much fun in like playing that character. I'm aware that he was he was it? No, he wasn't, was he? He's the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, and then he comes back in the Phantom Menace and such. I know that he's in it in the Return of the Jedi, but it's really in the prequels where I think he gives his best performance. He's so fun and he's so cheesy and meme worthy. I love it. But least favorite villain, like Darth Maul's got a fun design, but he doesn't do anything. Christopher Lee is kind of wasted as Count Dooku. I think the action scenes involving General Grievous are good, but him as a character is not particularly great. So that's the thing about the prequel villains, like they have very positive but also very negative elements about them. I can't quite write any of them off like as complete like wastes of time, but I can't quite sing their praises either. So I'll just say the prequel villains are the worst Star Wars villains, and none of them are particularly great or terrible, but they just land in a really awkward middle ground. So that's my very complex and awkward answer to that question. And final Facebook question, 3, 2, 1, go. Tom Wisniewski says, how much of the Home Alone series have you seen, and what do you think of them in general? I love 1 and 2, consider 3 a guilty pleasure. Think 4 sucks massively, and haven't seen 5. There's a Home Alone 5? I knew there was 1 to 4, but 1 minute, let me check this out. So, Home Alone, holy shit, there is 5. Holy shit. Directed by Peter Hewitt? What happened to you, man? You directed The Borrowers, and now you're doing Home Alone 5, The Holiday Heist. Holy shit. Okay, so Home Alone 5 was an American comedy television film. Okay, and the final installment. Oh, it's all come down to this. Oh my god. It's got Malcolm McDowell in it. Holy shit. It is the second film after Home Alone 3 to not focus on the McAllister family. First film not to be set in Chicago, apart from Home Alone 2. Oh my god. But okay, so it's a TV movie. Do you count it? Probably not. But yeah, the Home Alone franchise, I've not seen 3 and 4. I've watched the Nostalgia Critics review of those films, and those are really fun and really, really enjoyable. I like those reviews. Home Alone 1 and 2, yeah, I like those films a lot. Home Alone 1 is obviously the best one, but Home Alone 2 has still got some merit to it. I do enjoy Home Alone 2 quite a bit. I think they probably shouldn't have brought back the Wet Bandits for it, but it's still alright. But like I said, Home Alone 3 and 4, I only kind of know them by reputation. But the first Home Alone, like, you can't understate how big a film that was. It was the biggest film of 1990. What other films? 1990 in film. What other films came out in 1990? Like Total Recall, Goodfellas, Pretty Woman, Dances with Wolves, Back to the Future 3, Die Hard 2. Oh no, sorry. Okay, so Home Alone was the biggest film domestically of 1990, but worldwide it was the second biggest. The biggest film of 1990 being the Patrick Swayze Demi Moore film Ghost. That's random, but yeah, Home Alone was just a massive film when it came out. It was huge. It was and it was nominated for Academy Awards. It was nominated for Best Score. Macaulay Culkin was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Comedy. It was holy shit. it was nominated also for Best Original Song for Somewhere in My Memory. Like 2 Academy Award nominations for Home Alone. Holy shit. But yeah, Home Alone 2 is good, not great. I know Nostalgia Critics reviewed Home Alone 2, but I've not watched that review yet. I'll probably watch it after I've recorded this. But yeah, Home Alone 1 is still just a great coming-of-age story. It's Macaulay Culkin is just great in that role. The Wet Bandits are really fun. So yeah, Home Alone is a timeless classic, and I love it. So that was the final Facebook question. I know I've actually got a few more Twitter notifications. Are these more questions coming in? No, it's not. It's just people reacting and tweeting and stuff like that. So let me just scroll down, and I'll start the Twitter questions. So 3, 2, 1, go. At Liam Callahan asks thoughts on the Disney Fox acquisition. I go in depth on this in the Movie Mania podcast. I might take that segment and just upload it as its own video. But I think that the acquisition... don't get me wrong, I love Disney and I love Fox, but I don't like this acquisition. Part of me is kind of hoping something happens and comes up and it doesn't end up happening, because competition breeds better output. It makes other companies have to compete. It makes them have to try harder. It makes them have to make better content. It makes them have to give the customer better deals and better content in order to compete and make them make a purchase or buy a movie ticket and such. It's kind of the reason why a monopoly the American internet infrastructure it's such a shit show. It's so badly handled because it's a monopoly. They don't have to do any better. They can just overcharge because they are the only options. Monopolies are never good. And also anything that helps Rupert Murdoch is just a net negative in terms of the entire planet, because now he's going to have like a 5 or 10% stake in Disney, and that's going to be worth a fuckload of money, and anything that helps Rupert Murdoch is a massive fuck you to the rest of the planet, to be honest. But in terms, I know so many people are wanting, like, oh, there's going to be a Fantastic Four Marvel crossover, the X-Men are going to join the MCU and stuff. But if that's the only aspect of this deal that you're talking about, you're missing a massive picture here. Because Fox is not just comic book properties. Like, they're not even primarily that. You've got the Planet of the Apes franchise. You've got Die Hard, Alien, Predator, Avatar. Like, now, if Disney owns Avatar, they will own, like, what's the highest grossing films of all time? Avatar is not just for inflation, is the highest grossing movie of all time. But that's owned by Fox, and Titanic is also, I believe, is Titanic a Fox film? It is internationally. I think Titanic is 20th Century Fox as well. It's 20th Century Fox and Paramount Pictures. I don't know where Paramount really stands at the moment. But yeah, that means that Avatar, Titanic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and probably Star Wars The Last Jedi in a couple of weeks' time, Disney will own all of the top 4 highest grossing films of all time. And then there's Jurassic World, which is Universal. Then we get to Avengers, which is also Disney. Furious 7, which is another Universal. Then Avengers Age of Ultron, which is Disney again. Then Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows, which is Warner Brothers. Then Frozen, Beauty and the Beast, which is Disney once again. Like, they're going to own 8 of like the top 10 highest grossing films of all time. That's insane. They're going to own 7 of them by the time when all that's said and done. So yeah, that's insane. They're going to be completely on the top of the perch in terms of movie list. I've gone over 3 minutes, but listen to the latest episode of the Movie Mania podcast, or listen to the video segment that I put. But I do not like the monopolistic implications of this, and this is so much bigger than Fantastic Four and X-Men rights and Deadpool. But anyway, next question, 3, 2, 1, go. At Mr. Corman says, are there any television series you grew up with that still hold up today? I don't usually go back to stuff I grew up with out of fear of ruining it, but Avatar: The Last Airbender and Kim Possible still really hold up for me. A lot of what I liked growing up still kind of holds up. Definitely when you put them through nostalgia goggles. Definitely like a lot of Dragon Ball Z kind of still holds up, especially if you watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is a much more truncated and better edited version. Especially when it comes to like the Majin Buu saga, that is so much better when it's truncated. But also stuff like every so often I will watch an old episode of Robot Wars and find it really, really fun. This is the stuff I grew up on. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not quite hold up. It's a lot of it is kind of really badly written, but I kind of love how ballsy and dramatic and how seriously it takes itself. Like I still kind of admire some of the funnier twists and Dan Green's performance in that. I still really admire that. A lot of Doctor Who series 1 and 2 and 3, like when growing up when I was younger, they definitely still hold up, definitely. Tugs still holds up, which is something I used to watch when I was really, really young. But you can watch the episodes on YouTube and holy shit, they hold up. That's great kids TV. That is amazing. It's a kids TV show with basically a full orchestra doing the music, fully voiced characters, great production values and production design, really well thought out characters, and an episode where they teach you fire safety by literally killing off one of the main characters. Holy shit, this Tugs plays for when Tugs shows up to play. Oh my god. So yeah, that's the stuff I've watched. Thunderbird still holds up as well. There's like some of it's obviously a bit outdated with modern eyes because it was made in like the 60s. Well, like, there's the episode where a disaster is literally caused because of a woman driver. That's no good. But yeah, and even like the new Thunderbird series is still pretty good. I've not watched beyond series 1. I've not watched any of series 2. I need to do that. I feel really bad for falling behind. But yeah, a lot of what I watch still kind of does hold up, and even if I look back and think this isn't that good, I can still remember why I was drawn to it in the first place. And so yeah, but a lot of what I grew up on was like stuff like Robot Wars or Dragon Ball Z, and Doctor Who, and Tugs, and a few things like that. But I was kind of a lot more into games and specific films when growing up as opposed to TV. But yeah, so a lot of what I have at least revisited in recent years kind of holds up, and I kind of get a nostalgic kick out of watching quite a bit of it. So next question, 3, 2, 1, go. From at Mr. Dalek Emperor asks, sorry, my phone. What's going on? Okay. At Mr. Dalek Emperor asks, what are your opinions on Primeval and the K9 TV series? I know I've got 3 minutes, but I'll only need probably about 20 seconds. I've only watched like 10 minutes of the K9 TV series. I assume you're talking about the like Australian one where K9 is like upgraded and he's destroyed in the first 5 minutes. I've only watched like 10 minutes of it. I've not watched the whole episode. I've not watched any of Primeval. I've wanted to. I'm told parts of it are good. Just not watched it. Sorry to disappoint. Next question. 3, 2, 1, go. At Runt Manoli says, now the Capaldi era of Doctor Who is officially coming to an end on Monday. What were your favourite episodes and or moments from his, to put it politely, rather Marmite run as the Doctor? When I think of the best of Peter Capaldi, I think of when it comes to some of his best moments, it is moments where it's just Capaldi just wrecking shop and just showing why he's one of the best actors working today. Like his speech in the Zygon Inversion and in The Doctor Falls, basically the entirety of Heaven Sent. I think he's terrific in that. Like that's an outstanding performance where it's basically just him for 45 minutes in this gothic castle dying over and over and over again. It's outstanding TV. It is great, and I rag on Stephen Moffat a lot, but holy shit was that episode great. Only to be ruined and hellbent. That's pretty shit. But other great episodes, Flatline is really good. That's so inventive when it's just a shrunken TARDIS and he has to move across the train tracks with his hand. That's really creative and inventive. I really liked what else did I like? There was Before the Flood and Below the Lake. That was a really inventive Base Under Siege story, especially how it played with the normal structure of what would dictate a 2-part story. I thought that was really good. I remember liking Deep Breath quite a bit. Though I probably need to revisit a lot of the Peter Capaldi era because I've not applied it with as much of a critical eye as I did the Matt Smith era, because I would have to do like 30 to 40 minute reviews of those episodes. But when it does come to these series, to doing series 8 of Doctor Who, mark my words, its time will come. Of course, let's not forget the first proper appearance of the Doctor as well, in the Day of the Doctor, when it was just his eyes, and just the appearance of his eyes during the All 13. That's just sent shockwaves. That was just an outstanding and unexpected way to introduce fans to that Doctor in such a kind of clever and organic way. But yeah, going into the stories like Listen was a bit pants. I liked Time Heist. I think that was quite underrated. Mummy on the Orient Express was good as well. Dark Water, Death in Heaven were just really, really pants. Sleep No More is a bit underrated. In terms of series 10, sorry, I liked Thin Ice, and just him punching a racist simply for him being racist. That's just a good thing. And the series 10 finale, even though it was mainly Bill's show, The World, Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls was great as well. So he's had some terrific moments, but his tenure is a lot more eclectic, shall we say, in terms of quality than a lot of other Doctor's stories. So let's hope he can go out on a high in Twice Upon a Time. Fingers crossed. I'm just going to take another swig because I'm slightly dying in terms of my voice because I recorded 2 podcasts back to back. Okay, next question. 3, 2, 1, go. At Oscar Tid asks, if Daniel Day-Lewis said he was going to do one more movie, what role would you like to see him do? Now, Daniel Day-Lewis, as many of you know, is going to be giving his final performance in the Phantom Thread. He's probably going to be nominated for Best Actor, and he's probably going to win it, but that's going to be his final role. He's going to be retiring. So, but if he were to, for some reason, say, I'm going to do one more film, what role would I like to see him do? I'd like to see him do something completely unexpected. I would like to see him do something akin to Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder, where he's in a fat suit and he's completely unrecognisable and he does something incredibly off the wall. I would like to see him do maybe a genre film where he is in like a Godzilla film and he is in the Godzilla suit. I would like to see him do a Star Wars film where he is a Porg, and because I would just like to see I'd like to know what his creative process would be. Would he dress up as a Porg and try and hang out with other Porgs, only to find out they are fictional beings and he cannot hang out with Porgs in order to get into character? That is the type of thing I want to see Daniel Day-Lewis do. I want to see him do something unexpected and also incredibly mainstream. Because he does these prestige Oscar films like Lincoln and There Will Be Blood, sorry, and The Phantom Thread. But I want to see him do something really shockingly mainstream, like Star Wars, or be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something, but not just like a walk-on Daniel Craig as a stormtrooper type of role, or Martin Freeman is like an FBI guy in a suit. No, I want to see like Daniel Day-Lewis as Dormammu, or playing Emperor Palpatine in full makeup, or he's playing Snoke. I want to see him go balls to the wall, off the chain, in something very mainstream. So that's my answer to that, Oscar. That's what I want to see Daniel Day-Lewis do. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. At Team Antibac says, why didn't you include the Star Wars Christmas special in your underrated Christmas movie list? This guy has not seen my Christmas underrated movie list yet because the podcast isn't out, but he somehow knew. He knew that it wasn't in that list. And you want to know why? Because it doesn't belong in that list. It is not underrated. It is exactly appreciated as the way it should be by the fandom. Next question. 3, 2, 1, go. At the Flix Fanatic says, do you like the Santa Claus with Tim Allen? Also, what's your thoughts on Jingle All the Way? I think in my last episode, on episode 24, I did mention Jingle All the Way. That it's not a good film by any means, but in terms of capturing the insaneness that can be apparent at Christmas, or trying to get the best toy, or the hot toy this Christmas to please your child, sounds so wrong, but you know what I mean. Get the number one Christmas item, and how competitive and insane the commercialism of Christmas can be. It can be considered a subversive masterpiece. I think it's really clever and underrated. But when it comes to the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, I have watched the first 2. I did not watch the third one. I have no idea if that's any good. I've heard bad things. I remember watching the first. I think I watched the first one on a school trip. What year did the Santa Claus come out? I might have watched it on a school trip. Oh no, 1994. Okay, no, I would not have watched that at the cinema then. I would have been 2 years old. That did not happen. I probably watched it on TV or VHS or something. I did watch the Santa Claus 2 at theatres though, and I thought that was okay. I don't think I've watched it since then, but I remember it having merit. I remember it being okay and expanding the universe and other mythical characters like Father Time and the Tooth Fairy and such, where Rise of the Guardians did it better. But I just see Rise of the Guardians. But the Santa Claus, I did watch it like 2 or 3 years ago, and that's okay. It's all right. I think Tim Allen is kind of a bit one note in regards to a lot of his shows. Like, he's meant to just be the straight guy in like everything from like Christmas with the Cranks and Galaxy Quest and and stuff like that. And it kind of it gets a bit old after a while. I love him as Buzz Lightyear, but in his live action stuff, he's a bit of a one trick pony. But in the Santa Claus, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. For some reason, I just remember Turbo Tank. No, Santa does not go anywhere without his sleigh. I had a few clever ideas, like how he kind of morphs into Santa and he takes over. But then there's the whole, oh, your dad's working too much, and I hate those. I hate those stories and films. Like, I hate them. They're so cliche and so really annoying. And not to sound like a men's right activist, but it's just such a really shitty stigma and really annoying. And that's something that I think, yeah, we should definitely not be seeing too much of in our fiction. But anyway, that's a discussion for another time. So yeah, Santa Claus is good, and Jingle All the Way, yeah, I enjoy that on a really guilty level. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. At Gullible Idiot asks, what did you think about the costume design? I'm assuming he means Star Wars The Last Jedi. Really good. Yeah, I everything from like Luke Skywalker's clothing and to the red designs of the guards who are guarding Emperor Snoke. Yeah, it's all on point. I'm not a costume design expert, but yeah, it's all pretty awesome. Next question, 3, 2, 1, go. Marvel Nerd 127 asks, have you seen the original 1982 Annie with Tim Curry? Not since I was like 3. I've not rewatched it recently. I have watched the recent remake that was with Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, and Quavonzane Wallace. And I think I reviewed it, gave it like a 1.5 out of 5. It wasn't good. It was not good, but yeah. And I know a lot of the songs and such, but I've not seen the original version for years and years and years. I believe that was actually the last question. Yeah, that was the last question. So yeah, thank you very much for listening to me answer a lot. Blimey, this episode might be even longer than the last one. That's why I do want to spend 3 minutes on each topic. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Film Brits podcast. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsor, T-Blocks. That's TEEBLOX, who are going to be sponsoring the content from here on out, where they send you a geek-related t-shirt every month to your door. They ship worldwide, and if you use the coupon code TrilbyTBX at checkout, you can get 10% off your order, and also to help support this content, massively appreciate it. And it's not like Loot Crate, where if you say, oh, I'm going to sign up to the subscription service, but oh, this month they've sent me DC Comics Hero box, and I don't like DC Comics stuff. I don't want any of that stuff. That's a box wasted. When you sign up for T-Blocks, you tell them what you're into. You list all of your interests. You say, I like Doctor Who, I like science fiction, I like Game of Thrones, I like Back to the Future, and they'll send you a shirt tailored to that design. And if you do not like that design, just send the shirt back and they'll send you a different one if you're not happy with the one that they do give you. You know, as long as you don't, wear it inside and out and get it all sweaty and smelly and messy and everything. As long as you send it back in new condition, they'll send you a new shirt more catered to something that you'd rather have, right? Yeah, so if you go onto T-Blocks and use the coupon code TrilbyTBX at checkout, all one word, get 10% off your order, you get an awesome shirt, you support the content, everybody wins. So thank you so much to all of you for listening. Thank you so much for all of you for sending your questions in via Twitter and also Facebook. Have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, a crazy Kwanzaa, a tip-top Tet, and a solemn dignified Ramadan, to quote Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. Happy holidays, whatever it is you're celebrating. I hope you're with people you love, and if you know someone who may not be with people they love, or someone who maybe is a little bit alone this Christmas or needs some company or cheering up, invite them out, meet them for a couple of hours, for at the very least free, and Skype them or something. Just be there for family and friends, because that's all the shit that matters. So have a very Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. I will see you folks in 2018 in podcast form. Take care, guys.